LangGraph's interrupt mechanism enables dynamic suspension of graph execution at arbitrary points within node logic, facilitating human-in-the-loop workflows through state persistence and external input solicitation. This pattern leverages the interrupt function to pause processing, while surfacing JSON serializable payloads to the caller via the interrupt field, with execution resumption handled through the command interface. The upcoming code demonstrates a content review workflow, where a node pauses execution to present generated text for human evaluation, then incorporates the edited version back into the state upon resumption. This implementation showcases the interrupt pattern's core components: state inspection through the state, parameter, payload construction with review instructions, and state mutation via the return value.
From LangGraph, types import interrupt. Def review node state, hash pause, and show the current content for review surfaces in result interrupt. Edited content equals interrupt. Instruction, review and edit this content. Content, state generated text. Hash update the state with the edited version. Return generated text, edited content.
This code demonstrates a human-in-the-loop content review pattern using LangGraph's interrupt mechanism. The review node function pauses graph execution at a specific point to request human review of generated content, then continues with the edited version. This approach enables dynamic workflow interruption, where the system can wait indefinitely for external input while maintaining state persistence through the checkpointer. The pattern works by calling interrupt with a JSON serializable payload containing review instructions and the current content. When invoked, this pauses execution and surfaces the payload in the interrupt field of the result, allowing external systems to present the content for review. Upon resumption with command resume equals, the edited content becomes the return value of the interrupt call, updating the graph state. This is particularly useful for content generation pipelines, where human oversight is required before proceeding. The key advantage of this approach is its flexibility. Interrupts can be placed anywhere in the workflow and can be conditional based on application logic. However, it's important to note that when execution resumes, the entire node restarts from the beginning, so any code before the interrupt will execute again. This makes it crucial to ensure operations before the interrupt are idempotent or to structure the workflow accordingly. The pattern also requires a persistent checkpointer in production to maintain state across interruptions. Let's break it down.
From LangGraph, types import interrupt.
Imports the interrupt class from LangGraph's types module, which provides functionality to pause graph execution and wait for external input.
Def review node state, hash pause, and show the current content for review surfaces in result interrupt.
Defines a function named review node that accepts a single parameter state of type state. The comment indicates this function will pause execution and expose the current content for review, with the interrupt payload appearing in the result under the key interrupt.
Edited content equals interrupt.
Calls the interrupt function with an object containing edited content as a key, which pauses graph execution at this point and surfaces the provided value to the caller in the interrupt field. The graph state is saved, and execution waits indefinitely until resumed with the same threaded.
Instruction, review and edit this content.
Assigns the string value, review and edit this content, to a variable named instruction. This creates a simple text instruction that could be used later in the code, though the specific usage isn't visible in this segment. The variable serves as a container for this particular directive.
Content, state-generated text.
Extracts the value associated with the key generated text from the state dictionary and assigns it to the content field. This operation retrieves previously generated text from the graph's state for further processing or output.
Return generated text, edited content.
Returns a dictionary with a single key generated text containing the value of edited content. This is a standard Python dictionary return, packaging the processed content for output. LangGraph's interrupt mechanism enables dynamic human-in-the-loop workflows by pausing execution at arbitrary points while maintaining state persistence. The ReviewNode function demonstrates this pattern by using interrupt to pause processing and surface a JSON payload containing review instructions and generated content through the interrupt field. When execution resumes via command, the edited content becomes the return value, updating the graph state. This approach offers flexibility in workflow design, allowing interrupts to be placed anywhere and made conditional based on application logic. However, it requires careful consideration of idempotency for operations preceding the interrupt, as the entire node restarts upon resumption. The pattern relies on a persistent checkpointer to maintain state across interruptions, making it suitable for production environments where human oversight is necessary.
The interrupt halts the graph, whispers for edits, then vanishes into the very text it summoned.